in the 28th, but
there is an 8 though.
Yeah, there is an 8. So at least half of the date is right. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show circa Monday, October 28th. If you read the tweet, it says October 8th. I'm a moron is really the only way to do this. So
I think our viewers are
well aware of
keen
that.
enough to figure that one out.
That I'm a moron, or that they know the date, or a little bit
Oh
of
no,
both?
that you're a more no, of course, to figure the date out.
Okay.
To figure the date out. That did come off strange though.
Well, I would have said 50-50. So there's that. Anyway, thank you for joining us. First Monday slate of the season. This is usually the biggest from a viewership day, so I'm excited to have everybody here. Yesterday went pretty well for me, so I'm very happy there. Almost had a shot at the NBA version of whatever the beanball was for baseball. Got to third, so I'll take it. I've got lineup study up here right now, but let's just hit up my partner in crime for today, Dave Loughran, a.k.a. Lofty. Lofty, what's going on?
What's going on, dude? You know, it's crazy. All 5 of the World Series games, the home team has lost.
Really?
That's got to suck. Yeah, I mean,
it's still baseball?
All 5 of them. 2 straight for Houston, 2 straight for Washington and Houston, 3 straight for Houston and Washington. I tweeted this last night. I know people have this nonsense line about, well, it's this experience that counts. Nonsense. No, it's not. I think the World Series tickets range from 1,000 to 15,000. If I fall somewhere in the middle of that and go to a game where we get crushed 8-1, the experience was garbage.
Yeah.
So, just thought I'd throw that out there. It's really got to suck for every team right now that played a home game to lose. You don't see that very often.
No, I hope it goes the whole way.
That would be crazy.
What is it right now? 3-2 somebody? I'm not following this.
I've been like just looking at the scores, not really watching the games. Football and basketball takes priority.
Sure.
But yeah, so Washington won 2 straight, and then Houston won 3 straight in Washington after being in an 0-2 hole. Pretty impressive stuff.
I didn't even know that it was 2-3-2. Baseball's over, man. I'll see you in April.
I hear you.
It's just, I just can't. Anything good for you on the NFL side or the NBA side this weekend?
Yeah, small profit in the NFL. Nothing crazy. I had a couple Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans lineups with Latavius Murray that worked their way up there. What'd you say?
Same.
Yeah, except Corey Davis was in one of them. I was up at like 216, 220 with a 2 or a 1 from certain players, which really didn't feel good.
Sounds familiar.
But you edge out some into the green, and then you live to fight another day next week.
Absolutely. First things first, let's go ahead, and if you're just getting in here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We do this show 7 days a week in some form or fashion. You'll get me plus some guests for Monday to Friday, and then it's some combination of Emac and Adam yet generally on Saturdays. They held it down this weekend. Free content today. Alex's projections. Awesemo himself. Free today on the site. I don't know if that's been flipped over quite yet, but if you're looking to check out what we have to offer, Alex's projections will be available to the masses today. You can get those on the Awesemo homepage. NBA drop down. Awesemo's
They're
NBA
not updated
projections.
yet.
They're not? Okay.
Not yet.
They will be the free piece of content today on the NBA side. I've got lineup study up for yesterday in the $8 excellent eights on DraftKings. No Awesemo yesterday in this contest. I believe he was at a wedding this weekend, so getting a little social time. I know.
Seems uncharacteristic of him to not. Did he not play at all?
I did not look at any other tournament other than this one. But yeah, sometimes you got to just take a little time for yourself. So it left some money for the rest of us. We appreciate it, Alex.
Ben Rasa had a $25,000 payday in the Game Changer, but a smaller contest. So I don't know if it's worth analyzing, but he would have taken first place for $40K. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You're talking basketball. I'm twisted, man. Yeah, you're talking basketball.
Are you
Ben wanted
talking? Are you talking NFL or golf?
Yeah, oh yeah. Ben wanted to. If it wasn't for Tevin Coleman, he would have taken first place. So just throwing that out there. But yes, don't mind me.
Okay. Well, if you're looking for Laffy's plugs about Ben's lineup in NFL, tune in at 11 a.m. Eastern time for the actual NFL strategy show that he'll be on.
There you go. Can you blame me?
Perfect transition. So top lineup yesterday, guy played 33 lineups, so a little bit more than just one. Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, Karis LeVert, Zinger, Maxey, CJ McCollum. Shout out to my boy going for 52 yesterday. Couldn't get away from him. That worked out pretty well for me. Rodney Hood and my boy Luka going for 64. I really like Dylan Brooks yesterday too, just from a price and situation perspective. Didn't expect to get 50 out of Ja. That much I can say.
No, I didn't either, but he's going to be a decent player on a team that doesn't have any real superstars. So, a lot of times that's what you're going to see. You're going to see players like Ja Morant come through with big games, not because he's going to have the best rookie season ever, or even because he's going to be efficient, but he's got a 30% usage rate, on a team that isn't allowing Jonas Valanciunas to play big minutes yet. And you really couldn't name another high usage player on this team.
Yeah. I like the dude. I think it's just going to be a long road for him. Point guards usually have the most difficult transition into the NBA.
Yeah. Although for fantasy on bad teams,
he's going to get the volume.
It's a very quick right, correct. Real life and fantasy for point guards is entirely different.
Very much so. Chalkiest play yesterday on DraftKings. Surprise, surprise. Karl Anthony Towns, 66% owned. Adam came in slightly under the field at 55. Other boss man, Tom JK, 94.7 cat. Whew. A lot of cat.
Ooh. Wow. Dude, what happened to him in that second half is the question.
I know. Still got to 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, but he should have been at like 70 with that early production in the first half.
For real. I was getting nervous. I did not have as much as I would have liked. I'll tell you who I didn't have a lot of that just put up a hell of a number. Jonas Valanciunas going for 44.75 fantasy points in 19 minutes. Nasty, good man. Player. Nasty. That dude is a point per minute dynamo.
Yep. I remember tweeting about it a couple of years ago that, like, if you unchain this guy, and I suppose there are some reasons why he doesn't play 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
But just assume he did. Joe Val at 35 minutes a game is well over a 9K player.
Yes, very much so. But like easily. Cody Zeller also going bananas. 52 DK points at 5,300.
And he got hurt.
Yeah. I'm repping the Charlotte gear right now too. Shout out Cody Zeller. I've got the Charlotte shirt on. I got the Charlotte hat on.
I got some good stats on that Charlotte front court once we get there.
Oh God. Can't wait. Any of the familiar names at the top? Not really. I don't recognize any of these people. I don't know. Don't recognize them. That's all I got. Lineup study. Check it out. You can get it with FC Pro. If you subscribe to any package that we have, you could use the promo code NBA Strategy, get 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus, and then you can get the FC Pro add-on. You'll get a smarter randomization in your crunches. You'll get lineup study, auto groups for the NFL, which is like the most massive feature in the world in terms of saving time. Love it. You can get a little bit more information at our website. But I have to shout out our presenting sponsor of this show, Yahoo Sports. They are the presenting sponsor of this show, of the Deeper Dive, and of the Early Bird podcast, which you could check out from last night with Dan Strafford and Chris Randone. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, I'm dropping the link into Emacs Cash Building Blocks article from yesterday. There's some information at the top, a link to follow. Promo code is Awesemo. Get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. They're running just perfect contests, in my opinion. Nice mix of 10 max. They've got the 150 max now with CSV edits. They run no management fee contests from time to time. They've got an NFL one for next Sunday. It's the $3 single entry contest with no management fee. You really test your mettle there without having to worry about paying any fees. Highly recommend you guys check that out. They've got the 25K baller going today for the NBA. 5K to first, $10 entry fee. I just love getting in these contests. I'm hoping to have my Yahoo sheet finished by tomorrow so I could add another site to the list. Going Yahoo second. They have the same scoring as FanDuel, so should be able to lessen my time of my build. I think that it's time for us to get started. We've got 11 games, which is, well, going to be difficult for the two of us.
Well, we'll never know if we don't try.
You know, that's very true. That's very true. I'm a little nervous to talk about Hornets to close out this show, but we'll get there, I guess. So first game up, if you're ready.
Let's do it. Yeah, Dom Rep in chat, Slack chat said, listening to the show now, $1,400 for standing room only tickets at Nats Park. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
let's do it.
It's free for sitting on my couch tickets in my media room, and I still didn't attend the game.
I'm with you. All right, man, let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to try.
Yeah. Pistons and Pacers, 105.75 for the Pistons, 107.75 for the Pacers. So Pacers favorites in Detroit. Key thing to point out here, Fantasy Draft is not including the 7 o'clock games in this slate. So that's why you see a big gap in the Fantasy Draft pricing. They're starting at 7:30 for reasons that I cannot determine.
Seems odd, but hey.
Do you guys? Do you? Who am I to tell you guys anything? I would have included them, but, you know, I don't run that ship. We got to start with Drummond, 10-3 on FanDuel, $9,300 on DK, and $48 on Yahoo. How do you feel about this dude as like the centerpiece of the Pistons with Blake out?
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 23.5 rebound opportunities per game, which is just insane. He's hauling in almost 7 contested rebounds per game. Just watch him even for a moment and you'll see that as long as he's in the vicinity, he's going to end up just easily hauling in boards. And that's what's important. But if you think about it, last year, Andre Drummond was also really, really talented when it came to blocking shots and getting steals, averaging 1.5 of each per game. Those are really important numbers when you're talking about a guy who, when you're looking at his floor, you're looking at his ceiling. As long as he's out of foul trouble, and that's what burned a lot of people against the 76ers, which, man, even when Embiid's out, you throw Horford at center. That's the front court that I'll likely be avoiding in large part from a targeting against them standpoint. But there's a ton of upside in Andre Drummond every day. We'll sift through whether or not he's a good play compared to, Giannis and Harden and Jokic and Curry and all of these other guys. Actually, Westbrook specifically with how he's played through his first 2 games. But at that price point, $9,300 on DraftKings, I still think Andre Drummond is very much in play here. And look, Miles Turner is a decent enough defender, but I don't expect it to make a big difference here at all. There's too many opportunities, and he already faced them once. He had 78 fantasy points with a 32-23 point rebound double-double with 4 blocks and 3 steals in 41 minutes. So not in foul trouble. Drummond's played 37 in 41 minutes, and now he's got the same matchup he drew on opening night. I don't see how 9,300 is too much at all.
No, not at all. I like him quite a bit. He is I want to make sure that I'm not wrong here. He is my 3rd favorite center relative to salary. He's the guy that I want to pay up for most. This is his, as much as this can be Andre Drummond's team as a center that's, not like a ball dominant guy. I'm down to have him here. I don't mind spending the 10-3. I don't get the sense that his ownership will be too out of whack either, just because of the 11 gamer. So I trust his upside. He could really, on one of those days where he can go for 20 and 20.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, I guess I shouldn't say easily, but there's, there's nothing that should hold him back here from getting that done.
No.
Just when you're producing as many points in the paint as he is, 17 points in the paint per game through his first three, and mind you, he got in significant foul trouble. There's just endless opportunities to put these type of numbers up, and I think this will be another spot where he does so against the Pacers.
I don't have a ton of interest in anything else from the Pistons on DK and Yahoo. I don't mind Luke Kennard for 4,900 on FanDuel. I don't mind Tim Frazier for 3,500, the flat min on FanDuel if you need to punt there. I don't think we're going to see Reggie Jackson here, so we should get enough Tim Frazier that $3,500 is viable. Not that that is terribly exciting. Be clear here, he is Tim Frazier. But if you need to punt at this position, I think Frazier is an option for you. Do you want anything else from the Pistons?
Well, I mean, Derrick Rose, we got to at least talk about the guy. Do I think he'll be a priority play? No, I don't think that, but he is producing a monster usage rate off the bench. It'd be nice if he played a few more minutes here, but he has one of the highest usage rates in the league right now among everyone on the Detroit Pistons. He is head and shoulders above everyone else. 37.2% usage rate, Josh. 37.2% usage for Derrick Rose with a 36% assist rate. So yeah, it sucks that he's not playing 35 minutes a game, but 27 minutes for Derrick Rose when you're getting ample opportunity to get up, 15 to 20 shots. To me, that's got to be in play again. And I don't think he's overpriced, but not a priority. If he was playing 32 minutes, he'd probably be one of my favorite value options across the board. But at 5,400, I think, 27, 28 minutes is definitely viable if Reggie Jackson's out.
Is it weird that I don't have him at all and he looks terrible to me? Because if I don't look at my sheet, I'm like, oh yeah, Derrick Rose is going to get minutes. He's shooting the ball a ton at that price tag. That seems great. I don't know what it is, but if I put all those ingredients together, it looks terrible.
I mean, I ran some initial crunches and I don't have a lot of them, but anybody with that much opportunity, particularly off the bench where, a lot of his minutes are coming alongside players that, half of the people that watch basketball have never heard of them. Well, yeah, I think it's reasonable. You look at he's out there and the bulk of his minutes are coming with Langston Galloway, Luke Kennard, Thon Maker, and Christian Wood. So it's no surprise that he's getting this much opportunity. And seriously, look at the playing time he's had. Almost all of his minutes have come with the bench unit entirely. So
I have him in for 31% usage. I have a hard time going much higher than that. I understand that it has been higher than that. That's a really difficult number to project moving forward. Maybe I need to bump him up a little bit, 32, 33. Actually, does he have... Look at one thing. Pistons. Even a part of this. Never mind. At least we have a prop on Tony Snell's points and not Derrick Rose's. Unbelievable. I guess I'm going to have to take a look at it because if I need to bump him up into the 33 range, he might get a little bit better. 31% is just really massive high usage. To go even higher than that is kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame you for not wanting to go higher than that, but looking at this team without Blake Griffin, I don't know who else is going to command the bulk of the touches. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know where else it's going to go to with Blake Griffin off the court. Of course, Reggie Jackson doubtful to play. Rose is averaging 17 drives per game, so he's been very aggressive too.
Anything on the Pacers side? Because outside of really TJ Warren on FanDuel for 5,100, I don't see a lot.
No, there's not a lot here. The Pistons have allowed the fourth most points in the paint through their first three games. So I do think Sabonis will have some opportunities. As a matter of fact, I tweeted this the other day. Sabonis destroyed them, including Andre Drummond in the paint and on post-ups, which I found to be very interesting. You'd think that that their interior defense would have been a little bit better than it was. So I do think Sabonis makes sense here. How much you want to pay for him is another question. 7,600. It seems a little bit pricey, given what we've seen from him in the past. Like he played 36 and 33 minutes. Now that he's a starter, I think it makes him a lot more appealing than when he was splitting minutes with Miles Turner in the center position.
Yeah.
So I like him, but 76 seems a little bit high. Because I don't think the Pistons and Drummond are as bad defensively as they looked in that first game.
Sabonis is one of the 2 guys that I got on my FanDuel dummy. I got 8%. I think that's about reasonable.
Yep, that's around 8 to 10% would make sense because he is in a good spot. He is a great player.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much you can prioritize him at that price would be the thing.
And I got to 20% Drummond on that crunch as well, so I'll take it, I guess. But otherwise,
any Brogdon?
No.
He's
literally 0.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm still having trouble trying to evaluate here because Brogdon's looked crazy good through these first 2 games, and with all the injuries that this team has, I feel like you're going to continue to see him really operating with the bulk of the opportunities as the playmaker and as a scorer. 24% usage. He has 51% assist rate through his first 2 games. It's very early, of course. We've only played 2 games, but big point rebound point assist doubles in both of them. 35 plus minutes in back-to-back games. I think Brogdon's in play here, and I hate naming every player from every game. I don't think it does anyone any good, but I do have some interest in Brogdon here. I think, of course, until Victor Oladipo returns, Brogdon's going to be the go-to guy here as a playmaker and one as a scorer as well.
1.36 fantasy points per minute so far this season, but I think you're paying for like the most optimal scenario on Brogdon. That one scares me, especially in this matchup. Like this isn't a pace up spot or anything like that. I just don't really want a ton of this game.
Okay.
I don't know. That's the best I can do. Drummond.
Yeah, I mean,
Drummond, Luke Kennard, TJ Warren. Ugh, God, those are not 3 names I would have expected to put together.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here is like a lock.
No.
I don't see that being the case at all. Defensive rating for the Pistons is at 110 over their first few games, so that's bottom 10 in the league. But again, it's very early. We're only going off very early statistics, so it's hard to say. But yeah, like Luke Kennard and those guys, if you wanted to get to Kennard and just hope that he shoots well, I understand that. He's at least playing 30 minutes, but that price point on him is a bit prohibitive for a guy that doesn't really do anything outside of scoring.
I don't know what this genius expert thing is in our chat, but that is some sort of hysterical comment. That's outstanding.
What's that?
Some really weird bot that just showed up in YouTube chat. I bet if I were good looking or rich, my chances of getting a girlfriend would be higher. It's easy for good looking and rich guys to get a girlfriend. I know a lot of nice guys that are single because of their appearance.
Well, I know a little something about the good looking part, and I agree with you.
Oh, God. Let's move on. Knicks and Bulls.
That is a weird bot, though, huh?
There were 2 messages before that were just as awkward. 111.5 implied total for the Knicks, 112.5 for the Bulls. I guess we can start on the Knicks side, but there's not a lot to like here. Elfrid Payton for 5,100 is probably on DraftKings is probably my favorite thing. On the Knicks, I got 4% Elfrid Payton on FanDuel, and that's the highest I got of anybody. On the Bulls side, small amount of Thad Young and Lauri Markkanen. I really could do without this game in its entirety.
All right. Well, here's our first probably major disagreement. I like RJ Barrett a lot.
All right, talk to me.
I mean, excuse me, he's played 36 minutes in 3 straight games. The last game was a blowout midway through the third quarter. he's leading the team in usage. Like there's a few things that when I look at it, they stand out to me as okay. He leads the team in drives. He's getting to the rim. He's getting up 15 plus shots per game. He's on a team that is in rebuild mode and is going to give him as much opportunity as possible. He has a coach in Fizdale who doesn't really have any idea what he's doing with the point guard rotation, and fans are super pissed off that Frank Ntilikina wasn't out there defending Kemba Walker. Go that Twitter, those Twitter comments were interesting. But no, I mean, I don't think it's a crazy price point on him. If the season started today and I hadn't seen anything, I might think it was. But I mean, he has the highest usage rate on the team, and he's playing 36 plus minutes per game, and apparently score doesn't matter. So yeah, if there's opportunities to jack up 16, 17 shots and just be on the floor for that amount of time against a Bulls team that defensively will be, middle of the road at best, I could certainly find worse players to talk about here. The Bulls' pace of play so far this season is top 10, and the Knicks is the 6th fastest pace. Again, very early, matchup matters, but both two top 10 pace teams early on. I like RJ Barrett with 36, 37 minutes tonight.
Volume will be there. I mean, he has every bit of opportunity to be good in this spot. I just don't trust this entire team.
What don't you trust? The minutes or the?
Well, I trust his minutes. I just think that they're bad. I guess that's probably not a really great barometer here because it's a 1-point line. So them being bad is totally meaningless. I just don't think RJ Barrett is very good. I projected him out. I took a lap through player props for points and assists and rebounds. I've got him at like 31 on FanDuel, 33 and change on DK. He's basically just a guy that I will not have.
Fair enough.
He'll have highly variant performances this season. So in terms of GPP, like he's the type of guy that I'd be okay slotting in at 6,100 if I were manually building a lineup. But I don't ever think that he's going to show up a lot in an optimizer for me.
I could see that.
Kenyon Drake to the Cardinals.
Yeah, because Edmonds got hurt too.
Yeah,
definitely suffered some injuries to that backfield. But yeah, 25% usage. He's not going to be an elite rebounder or facilitator, and oftentimes those guys bother me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's on a team that doesn't really have. They don't have a clear-cut passer. They would if Elfrid Payton was on the floor, but like sometimes it's Alonzo Trier, sometimes it's Payton. For all we know, today it's going to be Frank Ntilikina when they don't need him. Actually, I take that back. You could definitely use him against Zach LaVine, which means Fizdale won't use him. They'll put him out there against a team that doesn't have a quality shoot first point guard.
You could just say quality point guard.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to Ntilikina, it's got to be, you want him out there against somebody that's getting up a lot of shots. But no, I think the pieces fit for RJ Barrett here, and he's getting the opportunities. So not a top play. We'll get to some top plays, but at 6,100, if you were to land on him, a guy that could play 37 minutes in a game that has a 1-point spread and a 223 total, I totally understand it.
Any Elfrid Payton for you? That's really the only other option, in my opinion.
No, I mean, dude, the guy played. We talked about this on Friday. The dude played. Was it 20 minutes in the first half, and then like 4 minutes in the second half, and then he played 31 minutes against Boston. So, I wish I could tell you, but I can't. I'm really disinterested in trying to figure out what that point guard rotation is going to look like. If Payton,
I think Fizdale is too.
What's up?
I think Fizdale's also disinterested in figuring that rotation out.
I know. If the pricing made more sense, like if Payton was really cheap, then I'd say, yeah, I'll roll the dice on it. But I'm good.
I'm good on Knicks, and I mean, Markkanen is really the only thing that I have some interest in on the Bulls side. 8K on FanDuel, 7,700 on DraftKings. That's probably like I think that's it. Like this is just not a game I'm interested in all that much. I said that yesterday, and then the Nets game went to overtime. So maybe this game will go to OT as well and pay some people off.
Anything's possible. Markkanen's getting opportunities,
Yeah.
and that's all you can ask for. Between Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen, you've got two guys that are going to soak up a whole lot of the usage for this Chicago Bulls squad. And I think they're still going to be bad, but they're not going to be nearly as bad as they were last year. 27% usage. His rebounding, though, has been really good. Markkanen struggled in 2 games, and he's had 1 monster game, but the rebounding totals for the most part have been pretty solid. Also, keep in mind, Memphis and Toronto are 2 teams that, while Memphis may not be a strong overall team, both teams have quality defenses, and the front courts will give you some trouble. So if you're not knocking down your threes, which he didn't against Memphis, 1 for 10, you're going to struggle in the paint and around the basket. It's a lot of what happened. And I just don't see Markkanen at that price being a priority.
Yeah, 7,700 is a little too expensive. 8K on FanDuel at power forward is fine enough. I got what did I got 6%. So like it's not as if anything here is flying off the shelves. Yeah. It's not a fantasy game for me that I'm deeply interested in. 2 down?
Yeah, for me, I think Barrett would be a guy that I'd consider, but
okay.
Outside of that, Zach LaVine, if his ownership is low, is always in play. He had that huge game the other day, and it pays off because when you get up as many shots as he does, and if this game's close, I would expect him to play, 33 minutes like we saw against Memphis. Oddly, though, I don't know. Did you see he only played 30 minutes against Charlotte in a game that was decided by 1 point?
I don't know why that is.
A little strange.
Very. He was just on Zach Lowe's podcast. I listened to it this morning. It was really good. Yeah. Sounds like a smart guy. I don't mean that sarcastically. It was like a really interesting interview. I didn't know a lot about him. I didn't know his pedigree or anything. I think he's had like a real stable force in his life. So apparently he works like crazy hard. They had to like take away his access to the gym because he was going in so late when he was in Minnesota and like getting up extra shots that he would like be exhausted the next day.
That's odd.
I never knew that he had that sort of like, I would have penciled him in the opposite direction, and apparently he has like a really aggressive work ethic. I didn't know. So shout out Zach LaVine. Go listen to that podcast. What up, Zach Lowe? Atlanta Hawks and your Philadelphia 76ers. I don't believe there is a line on this game yet right now, but the tentative line that I saw was Sixers favored by 4 in Atlanta. I'm going with the assumption that Joel Embiid is playing today. We shall see. Let's start on the Atlanta side, and we got to start with Trae Young. 9,400 on FanDuel, 9K on DK. We're finally into the fantasy draft sweepstakes, 16.4 there, and $44 on Yahoo. He's been decent so far.
Yeah, I think it's about time to stop saying Trae Young doesn't have similar upside to the other guys.
Yeah.
It's not true.
You see his usage?
Yeah, dude. It's absurd. Look, here's the thing with Trae Young. He's got usage upwards almost 40%. His assist rate is 46%. He basically is the Atlanta Hawks right now.
Yeah.
Again, opportunity is so important here. And when you're on the floor for as much as he is, when you're getting up as many shots as he is, he even had 7 rebounds in back-to-back games. It's not surprising. He's on the floor so often, and he's everywhere. Amazingly, he has 60-plus fantasy points in back-to-back games. Now, Trae Young is going to turn the ball over a lot. Yep. When you have that type of usage rate, it's going to happen. When you're already turnover prone, it's going to happen. He has 11 turnovers through 2 games, but it really doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. I will say one thing about the Sixers, though. I do believe this team is going to make 3-point shooting very difficult for opponents this season.
Yeah.
I still think Trae Young is in play because usage is dominant and minutes are dominant over everything, particularly matchup. But the Sixers 3-point percentage through a couple of games, they're allowing, middle of the road. but they've allowed the fewest 3-point attempts by 4 less than the next closest team. They close out really well. And they have a very, very big team that can actually move well. So they will make 3-point shooting difficult. They're going to get their hands in your face and make life tough. But honestly, I don't know if it matters with Trae Young. I'd venture to say it doesn't.
They've allowed 21.8% shots from above the break for threes. That's the second lowest rate in the league behind Denver, which is off by 1/10 of a percentage point. Yep. They are stingy. Stingy. I greatly prefer Steph Curry on FanDuel, so we are going to get there. On my crunch, I got to 15% Trae Young. That feels like enough where I'm not regretting it if he's going 42% usage rate Trae Young here. I think he's going to have a hard time putting up that kind of usage rate against Philly.
I don't. And the reason I don't is because I'm hard pressed to think John Collins' life is going to be any easier in the paint against Joel Embiid and Al Horford. So
not going to be great for him.
What'd you say?
It's not going to be great for him.
Right. So what does that mean? That DeAndre Hunter and Bembry and Kevin Huerter and Cam Reddish, like those guys are going to do the work. Alex Len, that wouldn't make a difference anyway. He's going to put the work. Like, I think they're going to have no choice but to get the ball to Trae Young.
Hold on, I'm looking up. Someone in YouTube chat is saying that Embiid is already out per NBC Sports Philly, but I don't see that literally anywhere. So,
wait, that's strange because they said we'd get reports after shoot around.
Right, there's no way he's getting ruled out before shoot around today. I assume this is just old information from the previous game. They're not ruling him out before shoot around.
I can't. No.
Yeah,
unless shoot around already
he's
happened.
Still questionable, at least on the injury report.
I'll take a look while we keep talking.
They did not have a 10 a.m. shoot around in Atlanta.
They didn't what?
Let the guys know. Dustin, let us know. You're just saying that it's NBC Sports. Post a link or something. Post a tweet. Reference a man. As for right now, I expect Joel Embiid to play today. So there's that. He's projected in for me. Do you want any other piece of Atlanta?
I'm not seeing this anywhere, by the way.
Maybe I agree.
Maybe I'm missing it.
You're not. It's the internet. We all know how to use it.
Any other pieces of Atlanta? No. I think Trae Young, though, like it's a risky spot. But if you value just sheer volume and opportunity, I know I've said that a lot, but it's been really important through the first few games we've talked about. Then Trae Young has to at least be on the board for you. And while Trae Young isn't Russell Westbrook, he isn't Damian Lillard or whoever, there also isn't anyone else on this team that's going to siphon opportunities from Trae Young, especially not tonight with Collins going up against that front court.
And we can officially confirm that all of this is fake news from the dude in chat. He said he got ruled out yesterday. He is literally questionable on the NBA's injury report per last night. So,
oh yeah, he definitely didn't get ruled out yesterday. No. I know that for a fact.
That was for the Pistons game, but that's fine. We could use that information retroactively. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the Philly side where I assume Joel Embiid will play. And if he does, 10-5 on FanDuel, 9,100 on DK, 17-4 on FantasyDraft, and $47 on Yahoo. Look, he's always in play, but I'd rather have Andre Drummond today. A lot of mouths to feed in Philly. Really difficult for me to want to go to Embiid. Most I got of anybody was Richardson and Horford, which I think I probably will want to walk back a little bit. You're the Philly expert. Sift through this stuff. What stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, really the biggest thing right now is we don't exactly know what this offense is going to look like until we get legitimate playing time from Embiid. Al Horford, is definitely going to take a backseat role, right? I think we can both agree on that.
Yes.
If Embiid is on the court, I have no doubt about that. That's pretty obvious. Ben Simmons will play more of a facilitator. Richardson will get his shots up, and so will Harris. But there's a lot of mouths to feed here. Joel Embiid will eat first, but there are a lot of mouths to feed. I think the debate between him and Drummond is a tough one, but I don't think it's as tough tonight when Joel Embiid's status is still in question. And I'd worry that you could see him limited a bit. We don't have that concern with Drummond, but in the 23 minutes Embiid played against Boston, he had a 32% usage rate. Okay. And that's basically all you need to know is that he's going to have a 30+% usage rate this season. Um, he rebound. He's going to rebound extremely well. He's going to block shots. That's all it comes down to. So he actually had 1.82 fantasy points per minute. Mind you, Josh, he only played 23 minutes in that game. He had 44 fantasy points and he shot 35%. So, if he plays and we find out that he's not limited against Alex Len, yeah, call me interested in something like this where Alex Len and Bruno Fernando are going to be the two guys trying to make life difficult for him. I think they could be in for a nightmare outing if Embiid's not limited. And as a matter of fact, I think that $9,100 salary is really appealing. If it turns out that his ownership is way down because of that Q tag and he's not ruled active till shortly before the game, that could really turn me on to a lot more exposure to Joel Embiid.
Alrighty, hold on. Keith Pompey. Twitter.
Yeah, Pompey would be the guy. I haven't pulled up right now. And the only thing he said is
Joel Embiid is listed as questionable for tomorrow's game against the Hawks.
Yeah. Well, he also has
you should probably go to the doctor, man. If you're reading the word questionable as out, something's wrong. You probably need glasses or something.
Yeah, there's a podcast too where he talks about Joel Embiid's availability, but I'm not going to read all of that right now.
No,
I don't have too much to worry about there.
Yeah,
he might not play, obviously, but
hence questionable.
Yeah. If he doesn't play, by the way, what are your thoughts on Al Horford?
It's fine. Nothing that I need to go like super crazy about. I definitely like him a lot more when Embiid is going to be out. I think he's just going to have a much bigger. He's going to have a much bigger rebounding role. I don't think it matters all that much. Where's he hiding here? Horford. So 6,900 on FanDuel is probably pretty interesting if Embiid ends up being out. But I don't get the sense that I'm going to need to go crazy. Tobias Harris for 6,500 on DK is the piece that I want the most from the Sixers.
Okay. Yeah, 25% usage in 56 minutes with Embiid off the court this season, 1.16 fantasy points per minute, and only 10% rebounding rate. But the thing that stands out about Horford is he is a good passer. He will get opportunities. He shot 18 times against Detroit with Joel Embiid sidelined for that game. I don't know if I would have a ton of interest here, but if Al Horford ended up in some of my lineups against Alex Len, I would not be trying to get him out of my lineups. I'll tell you that much. He's the type of guy that could give you 28 and 7, with a block and a steal, and you're pretty happy with that at his price tag.
I'm looking back through my exposures now. I got too much Horford. I like the price on Richardson on FanDuel, especially if Embiid ends up being out, but I don't know. I wish that I could roster their defense instead of their offense.
Yeah, I hear you. Hawks playing really slow this season, but who are the teams they've faced? I mean, that's probably an important question. So,
all right, let's keep it
Orlando
moving.
And Detroit.
We will head to the defending NBA champion, Toronto Raptors, 108.5 implied total for the Raptors, 104 for the Magic. And we'll start on the Toronto side. This is basically just Siakam and Lowry for me. Pretty much clear across the board. On my dummy crunch, I got 3% Lowry and 2% Siakam, and that's it. Are you looking to roster Raptors today?
I don't see how you get to Siakam at that price. Very simply on DraftKings, I'll let you cover FanDuel, but very simply, if Siakam's $400 less than Embiid and 600 less than Drummond, as good a player as I think he is, I don't think he's as good as either of them from a fantasy standpoint, especially two guys that can rack up ridiculous numbers across almost every single category. Um, Siakam's going to have some really great scoring games. He's going to rebound well at times, but when you look at Embiid, points, rebounds, and assists, and blocks, and steals. I just think the floor and ceiling significantly higher for Embiid and for Andre Drummond as well.
8,700 on DraftKings when Pascal Siakam is 8,700 on FanDuel is a massive price tag.
Yeah, it's way too much. He's very good, but it's way too much.
Yeah, I just don't see the Raptors as fantasy viable today.
I don't either. And Kyle Lowry, his price is beginning to creep up. The minutes will be there, no question. His usage will be fine. It's always going to be higher than with Kawhi Leonard gone. But, Fred VanVleet has come into this offense and certainly plays a pretty big impact. His presence has been felt. And you're seeing a lot of shared opportunities in the backcourt between Lowry and VanVleet. I don't mind Lowry in the spot, but I definitely think I'd feel a lot more comfortable with him if he was like 6,500 on DraftKings. And it makes it a bit more difficult. Not huge here on this game as a whole.
Orlando, third lowest defensive rating on the season this year. They were fantastic defensively last year. It's just really not a great spot.
No, it's not. I don't have much to say on it, honestly, because there are other games that we definitely want to get to.
Yeah.
If there's anything you like here, fire away. But ultimately, even without Kawhi Leonard, the Toronto Raptors are a very good defensive team. That front court defensively is going to be very good, rotating guys like Gasol, Serge Ibaka, and Pascal Siakam. So I don't see myself getting to Nikola Vucevic here, despite him being, a very, very good player. And I don't think I get to the backcourt or Aaron Gordon. No, it's pretty much a wash for me on Orlando.
I am getting to Vooch on FanDuel, 8,600. He's 8,200 on DK, just not as good of a price. I got 15% on my first crunch. That's cool with me.
That's fine at that price. Yeah,
he's Vooch at 8,600. Like he can blow that spot up. It's not a great matchup or anything like that, but I want to have a little bit of Vooch. Center's weird on FanDuel.
On DraftKings, would you rather have $8,200 Vooch or $7,600 Domantas Sabonis?
Probably Vooch.
Or $7,700 Lauri Markkanen?
Markkanen's close.
Okay.
Markkanen's close. I need to take a look at Vooch a little bit, see if I need to soften the edges a little bit. He's popping up kind of crazy for me, but the Markkanen one's close.
Yeah.
Alrighty. To the first 8 o'clock game, Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder. No narratives going on in this one. 118 implied total for the Rockets, 107.5 for the Thunder. This one should be fun. We'll start on the Houston side. James Harden, 11-1 on FanDuel, 10-1 on DraftKings, 17-8 on FantasyDraft, and $54 on Yahoo. I am a very, very big fan of James Harden in this spot today. What do you want to do with Harden here?
Well, I think it's fun to take a look at the differences between these two guys. Yeah. Through the first 2 games, Harden's averaging 89 touches per game. Westbrook's averaging 80 touches per game. This is why player tracking stuff is really cool. Westbrook's obviously been the significantly better fantasy producer, but Harden's also missed a ton of shots. Potential assists per game, you have 20.5 for Harden, 18 for Westbrook. Passes made, Westbrook leads by a couple, but more importantly, passes received. Listen to this. Westbrook at 55, Harden at 75. So advantage James Harden there. The rebounding, we already know what this is going to look like, but their minutes have been staggered relatively well. Westbrook's rotation scared the shit out of me the first game, and then I realized, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, wow, he's going to play 28 minutes. And then, of course, D'Antoni turned that around. Westbrook, though, this is great. Leads the team in rebound chances. So,
of course he does.
Yep. Clint Capella, move over, big fella. Really, the biggest thing comes down to usage. And James Harden is still leading usage there. So the point I'm trying to make here, Josh, is first of all, I love Westbrook here. It doesn't matter what team he's playing for, but just because he has outproduced James Harden in each of these first two games does not mean that his opportunities have outweighed Harden's by any stretch.
No.
As a matter of fact, the usage rate for these two guys is 36.6% for Harden and 28.1% for Westbrook. I still expect Westbrook to have more triple doubles than Harden at the end of the year, but I also expect him to have more of those like 13 point, 10 rebound, 11 assist ones. When Harden has one, it's going to be 40, 10, and 15.
He took 18 threes against the Pelicans and made 2
Yeah, what did he
them.
make? 2 of them?
Yeah, he's 3 for 26 from 3 this season.
Dude, he always starts the season off shooting terribly. Seriously, go back and it's not even anecdotal. The past couple of years, his early shooting has been really bad.
He had 8 turnovers. He took 29 shots against the Pels. Like,
yep.
Not going anywhere. He's one of my favorite plays of the day. I got 45% Harden on my first crunch. Did not get to much Russ at all. Did get to a bunch of Eric Gordon, which he's 4,200 on FanDuel. That's really all there is to it. You can get $4,200 Eric Gordon as a small forward. It's small forward on FanDuel. It's been a garbage position for years. Today is no different. But Harden is the guy that I want coming out of this game.
Yeah, I keep finding myself the last 2 days going to more Westbrook than Harden. It just kind of seemed to fit better.
I had a lot of him in their most recent game, more so
Westbrook,
than Harden.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a few things like what about price point? Harden's 10-1, Westbrook's 9-4. So you're still getting a solid discount. But I mean, the biggest point here is really what do opportunities look like? Is Harden seeing less because of Westbrook? Josh, the simple answer to that is absolutely not, right? Like, no, he's not. No. He's just not converting them. So they've played 43 minutes together this season. And we remember D'Antoni did this perfectly with Chris Paul and James Harden. We'll get to Paul in a second. His complete lack of desire to play basketball for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But they've played 43 minutes together. Harden's played 30 minutes without Russell Westbrook. So 73 total minutes, and 41% of those minutes have come with Westbrook off the floor. He has a 45% usage rate with Westbrook off the floor and only 1.45 fantasy points per minute. That will change, and when it does, it's going to be an eruption.
It really is. I can't wait. I hope it's tonight because I'm going to have a lot. Really that simple.
OKC's defense has looked really good. I don't know if it's going to hold, but they've looked really good. You see what they did to the – granted, they're a shell of their old selves, but they just embarrassed the Warriors yesterday.
Really bad. We'll get to the Warriors. I don't know what to make of that team, but I'm gonna die with them tonight. That's for sure. That's I have so much exposure to the 3 guys from Golden State, so I'm gonna need you to talk me off of that cliff. Anybody else from Houston?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm perfectly fine fading the rest of this Houston team every night.
Yeah, you and me both. You just need like value to pop up. I got to 24% Chris Paul on FanDuel, where he is 7,600, 7,400 on DK. He's got other prices elsewhere. If I'm going to anybody in this game, it's Chris Paul, but I don't really have a lot of interest in the Oklahoma City side. What about you?
Yeah, neither does Chris Paul. Seriously, the guy, just go and watch a game of his. He looks entirely disinterested in playing.
I mean, that's probably because he is entirely disinterested in playing.
Exactly. And you know what that means? That means that Gilgeous-Alexander is going to really benefit from this. What do you think Paul's usage rate is through 3 games?
I already have it in front of me, but it was 15% in 19 minutes against the Warriors in that blowout.
Yeah, 21%, man. 21%. Ask yourself if you think he's really focused on winning games, or if he's trying to find a way to get himself traded as soon as possible. I'm not going to try and get into his head.
I mean, to be fair, they blew the doors off the Warriors in this game. He did not have to do a lick of anything.
For sure, but he hasn't done it in any of these.
Yeah.
He's averaging 10 drives per game. Like, he's not even trying to get to the basket in many cases. Gilgeous-Alexander has just, you know what? How about this? Regardless of what Chris Paul's motives and intentions are and his desire to play, let's talk about Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, because he clearly has interest in playing, and he has clearly looked good. He leads the team with 29% usage. The only issue with him is that he's way too expensive for a guy that I can't rely upon to rack up stats outside of scoring. Like, he has 5 blocks. Can we rely on that? No. Rebounding, very hard to say. The minutes are going to be there, but that price on SGA, to me at least, Josh, is super prohibitive.
We're on the exact same. I don't think I got him at all. Okay, see, yeah, I did not get him at all. I got 24% Paul, which I probably need to bring his usage rate down a little bit. Although, who knows with how he'll feel about today's game. And then I got a couple lineups of Dennis Schroeder, and that's it. I mean, look, ultimately, they are 10-point underdogs on the road against a very good Houston team. I understand Oklahoma City's defense has been good thus far, but I just don't see this as a fantasy spot.
I liked Chris Paul the other day and was totally wrong about him. Like, I honestly thought, hey, on a team where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is your next best option, and Dennis Schroeder has really just been okay, and he's only getting 25 minutes per game off the bench. I know you have Danilo Gallinari, fine, but like, Gallo is pretty one-dimensional here. I thought this would be a really good opportunity for Chris Paul to lead the team, but he just has shown no initiative to do so.
Dog's barking at me. I don't even think he understands what's happening. I think what he's trying to tell me is we should go to the next game, but first, you guys should hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Coming up for the rest of the day, immediately after this show, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Lofty will be back with Manny Laura, taking a look back at Week 8 in the NFL. Jake will have his NHL strategy show at 4. I believe the boss man, Alex Baker, will have his Behind the Paywall stream at 4 as well for our premium subs. NBA strategy is the promo code if you want to be able to access that, 50% off. Deeper dive tonight with yourself and Adam. I get to follow that up immediately with Chris Spags doing Live Before Lock. And then we get Emac and Nolan tonight for the illustrious Dolphins-Steelers Monday Night Football game, which they should just cancel or sim in Madden or something just to make it easier for everybody. That's what they should do. They should take the 2 best Madden players in the world. One of them takes the Dolphins, one of them takes the Steelers, and they just play it as a video game.
Who thought that scheduling the Dolphins and the Steelers, even before the season started, would be a good idea?
I have no idea. Do have a question for the audience. Once this video is over, the comment section will open up. Hop into the comment section and let me know who you expect to be the highest scoring player on the slate. Is it James Harden? Is it Russell Westbrook? Is it Joel Embiid if he plays? Giannis? Drop that answer into the comment section when you are done. I'll check it out and drop my answer in as well. All right, we got 6 games in 30 minutes. We can definitely not do this.
We're actually not doing that bad.
We're doing better than I would have expected. Bucks and Cavs, 119.25 implied total for Milwaukee, 103.75 for the Cavs. Just this is going to be a rough one for old Cleveland. We'll start with Giannis, 12-4 on FanDuel, 10-6 on DK, 18-8 on FantasyDraft. Giannis is the most expensive player on the slate, one of 2 guys north of 10K on DraftKings. He is $2,500 more expensive than Kawhi Leonard on FanDuel. On my preliminary crunch, I got 6% Giannis. I feel like I would be much more likely to get him on DraftKings just given the relative prices. What do you want to do with him in a game where he could probably skip it and the Bucks would still be favored by 10?
Dude, he had 71 fantasy points in 28 minutes in a game that he fouled out of.
He's so good.
I mean,
he does everything.
It's insane. He's fouled out in both games, but it doesn't mean anything. He averaged 2.5 fantasy points per minute on the season through 2 games. He's averaging a pedestrian 1.95 fantasy points. Or no, I'm sorry. That would be incorrect. I meant to say he's averaging 2.2 fantasy points per minute. Of course, that's not sustainable, but he's so good and he's involved everywhere. He's a triple-double threat every time. If you wanted to pay for Giannis here, go right ahead. You know, some people may have the concern that this game gets out of control. Well, if that's the case, then so be it. They're 15-point favorites. But if Giannis plays 33 minutes against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't need to explain to you what's going to happen.
No, not at all. 12-4 is just a really big time price tag on FanDuel, and that makes it a little bit difficult on an 11-game slate with so many people available. DraftKings, where everybody is much closer relatively in salary, he is way more in play. I'm going to stomp a hole through my dog if he keeps yapping at me right now.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to stomp. I just paid to get that hole sewn up. I'm going to stomp that hole right back into him. That'd be crazy talk. I expect Giannis to be much more popular on DK. I don't get the sense that I'm going to get a ton on FanDuel. Clearly, he's fantastic.
That's a bit tough to get to on FanDuel. Yeah,
he's obviously incredible. On the rest of my dummy crunch, I got a little bit of Bledsoe. I got a lot of George Hill. I think we need to touch on it. I got like 33% George Hill. He's 4K. He's 4K on FanDuel, but he's playing a lot. I've got him in for 26 minutes as of right now. That could end up being a little high. He's been very involved in the offense. Even if I drop that down to 24, I think George Hill works as a potential value point guard today.
It's not crazy to me. I mean, if you're going to get some opportunity, that's it's early in the season. So you're going to hear me repeat that a lot because there's only so much we can go off of. Minutes at a cheap price point is kind of what you're banking on. Why did Bledsoe play 16 minutes against Houston?
Stinks.
Was it that rib injury he was dealing with?
I believe so. George Hill is the chalk player on DraftKings right now in our ownership, which just got released, FYI. Okay. And Draymond Green, D'Angelo Russell are the top 2 guys on FanDuel. So it's nice to see that everything that I looked at this morning is right in check. George Hill, 24% expected ownership tonight.
That price point on DraftKings as well, is pretty much just too cheap to ignore. 31 minutes, 29 minutes. Like, does that continue?
Josh is lost. Josh has 31% too much George Hill. He's the chalk in the industry.
Listen, man, you read too many comments on chat.
Well, I want these people to understand that they're crazy.
Yeah, look. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit here. Dude, why does Popcorn Machine do this? Where a game just disappears? Of course. One game I wanted to look at.
Oh, you got to play that game where you have to try to figure out what the date was and type in their...
That's frustrating. I'll do it right now.
All this for George Hill.
Oh, yeah, but didn't that last game go into overtime? It did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me with this, man. All right. Well, whatever. He played 28 minutes off the bench. He fouled out. I really would like to look at something like that to get a better idea. But the important thing is Bledsoe played 33 minutes and Hill still played 29. So there you have it. I don't know how many minutes to project him for, honestly.
Now that I have added ownership in and refreshed my dummy crunch, Hill dropped to 26.7%, which is essentially equal to the field.
Okay.
But yeah, 45% owned, the highest projected owned player on DraftKings right now. So there is that, everybody. Giannis is at 12 on FanDuel, 23 on DK. I think that seems very reasonable.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Any Cleveland for you?
Likely no.
Okay.
I don't. I still have a lot of respect for Milwaukee's defense. Replacing Brogdon with Wes Matthews doesn't exactly help. But where on this team do you feel confident? Kevin Love's price tag is a little bit too high for me to get there. By the way, if you look at the excellent performance he's had in back-to-back games, well, one good, one very, very good. He has only shot 17 times in 2 games. Like, his usage is absolutely through the floor right now. He's gotten to the line a little bit, but I don't feel comfortable with that at all. And, you've got to be wondering, is this by design that, they're a young team and they want to get the young guys the ball more often than not?
It's possible. I just don't know what to make. They're so bad. There is no talent on Cleveland.
Outside of Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love be damned. I mean, they're trying to dust off Tristan Thompson. I'm sure they're praying that they could trade him for a second-round pick at some point in time and save like $4 million, but
he did hit a 3 the other day.
Fantastic. He's probably hit a couple threes in his life. I'm going to get a little bit of Chetty at 4,300 because of the position, but I don't want any other part of Cleveland.
You're not going to hear me argue that at all.
All right. We're going to have to spend some time on this game. Save some time elsewhere. Pelicans and Warriors. There was not a line when we started this show. I'm going to go ahead and assume that there isn't one yet, but let me double check just in case. I still don't see one. I have the line at 114 Pelicans, 112 Warriors, something in that neighborhood. It could be massively higher than that for all I know. And I think that we need to start on the Warriors side just to make sure we get to it. D'Angelo Russell, heavy chalk, roughly 30% owned on FanDuel and DK. Same story for Draymond. 18% for Curry on FanDuel, just 3% on DK, but he is 9,200 on FanDuel. On my first crunch, and now that I have ownership, it'll tweak a little bit. I have 69% Draymond Green, 56% D'Angelo Russell, and 51% Steph Curry. I want to have those 3 guys in abundance. What do you want to do with these Warriors guys? Because the rest of this team sucks. What
did you have for implied totals?
I have the Pelicans at 114, the Warriors at 112. I could see it being 7-8 points higher than that too.
I'm seeing the Pels at 120, the Warriors at 116, 236 over under, which is by far the highest on this slate. Not even close.
Oh, 230. Yeah, I'm seeing that now on two potential places. So that's just going to break everything for me.
And amazingly, the Warriors are 4-point dogs again.
Yeah,
and it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
They were the 3 best plays that I had today, and now they just became even bigger.
Pretty much. I mean, talk about a changing of the guard. The biggest thing though is what's going on with Drew Holiday, right? I mean, that's kind of huge because Josh Hart would actually be in play, even though his price has come up significantly. Would he be as chalky and as good a play as he was last time? No, absolutely not. But if he's playing 34, 35 minutes in the starting lineup against this Warriors team, then I'm probably on board. What about Lonzo Ball? Lonzo Ball, 36 minutes last time out, didn't have to share facilitating duties with Drew Holiday. I like him a lot more if Drew Holiday's out.
Yeah.
So I think there's already plenty of interest to be had for this team. Brandon Ingram's been producing monster numbers His usage is through the roof right now. He is clearly, I think, even with Holiday on the floor, your go-to scorer, your highest usage guy is going to be Brandon Ingram until Zion Williamson returns, and he's certainly taking advantage of all of this. So, yeah, there's plenty to like here for this team. Once you start branching out to some of the other like peripheral guys, I don't know how much of that I'm going to get, and I do think Drew Holiday's his involvement or his status is going to be huge. But yeah, man, Frank or Brandon Ingram in a spot like this is his usage is 28%. Outside of guys like Frank Jackson and Alexander Walker and Etuan Moore, guys that are actually getting minutes, Reddick's at 20%, Hart's at 19%, Holiday 18, Favors 18, Lonzo Ball 18. Like he is clearly getting the lion's share of looks here.
Yeah, I have Drew in right now, which makes me just like lightly like Ingram and Ball. If Drew is out, that'll open up a lot more value on the Pel side.
Yeah, that changes a lot.
Who's your favorite Warrior?
Well, I mean, it's definitely Curry.
Okay.
But
3% ownership on DraftKings right now.
Way too low.
Yeah. I'm gonna have 40 to 50.
I mean, it's crazy to me how bad 40 to 50. So okay, yeah.
Well, that's FanDuel, but still.
It's insane how bad they've been.
Yes.
But it's not when you actually look at the guys they're running out onto the court.
No,
right?
They are not a great basketball team elsewhere.
No, not even a little bit. And back-to-back blowouts have limited Curry's minutes, but his usage rate is still well above 30%. I mean, it's what, 33%?
He's 4 for 20 from 3 in the first 2 games.
Yeah, not going to continue. And actually, if you had watched any of those, he was getting a lot of open looks, which is a good thing.
Yeah, the dude's going to keep heaving. He's averaged 13 plus 3-pointers per 30 minutes in all of the time that Durant, Clay, and Cousins have been off the floor over the past 3 years. 13 and change in 30 minutes. So
it's crazy. And if you want to talk about a wide gap in usage, there isn't anyone within 10% of him over the first 2 games.
Yeah, he's going to do whatever he wants. I love it.
What are your thoughts on Marcus Chris?
I was just going to say he's 41% owned on DraftKings.
And that's the thing. Like, I've been saying this about him for a very long time. Marcus Chris is not good at basketball.
No,
okay.
I would not have him.
He can't box out. He sucks at rebounding. He's a shitty shot blocker. He finally blocked a shot the other day and it was goaltending. So like, that's what you get from Marcus Chris, man. I've never been a believer until he learns how to actually play a little bit of defense, box players out, and not be a liability on the court. I just don't see how I can get to somebody like him. Now, here's the one thing I'll point out that the starters didn't come back in at, mind you, they were down by like 38 points at halftime. Okay.
Yeah.
At one point in the fourth quarter, they were down by 42. Curry played all the way through the third quarter and then didn't come back out. Russell, Robinson, and Draymond Green didn't come back out after being sat 8 minutes into the third quarter. Sorry. Marcus Chris is the only starter that came back out. He played 5:38 in the fourth quarter. My concern there is if this game is close, is Marcus Chris going to end up playing like 19 minutes, 19, 20 minutes, even maybe 22 minutes from Marcus Chris? I still don't know if that's enough, but he's so cheap against the fast-paced Pelicans team that I'll have to consider him a little bit. Just remind yourself, he's not going to have 4 steals again. He doesn't block shots and he doesn't rebound well.
He will be my biggest bust in the strategy syllabus today.
He was my biggest bust in the strategy syllabus the other day. And guess what, Josh? He busted.
Yeah, he might bust again tonight.
Yeah. And look, I'll have some Marcus Chris. I'm letting you know right now, just as a product of his salary at $3,200.
I wouldn't even have him in that scenario, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. So I'm just, to be transparent, like I'm going to.
Sure.
But I'm letting you know right now that I don't feel good about it at all because he's not good at basketball. And I'm just hoping this fast-paced game with a 236 total is enough to have a couple rebounds fall in his lap or hit him in the face.
Rank Curry, Russell, and Draymond, and then let's move on to the next one.
Curry, Draymond, Russell. Draymond, because I don't have to rely on scoring for him to put up numbers, even though look, he got hurt in the first game. Second game was a colossal failure and a huge blowout. I expect better things down the road for Draymond Green.
Spurs and Blazers. Spurs 5.5-point favorites at home. Ownership in this game, 16% going to Aldridge on FanDuel, 10% going to Rudy Gay on DK. Everybody else is in single digits. On the Portland side, 24% ownership going to CJ McCollum, 15 going to him on DK, and then 16% going to Bazemore on DraftKings. We're not going to be having Zach Collins for a bit. Massive, massive loss for the Blazers, already thin in the front court. Kind of like Mario Hezonja for 3,600 on FanDuel, 3,300 on DK. I think he sees a couple extra minutes. But really, the only thing that I'm looking at in this one, Aldridge, CJ McCollum.
Okay. McCollum, huh?
He's my dude. Went crazy yesterday.
He did, which means you're going to have to wait a month again for him to do it.
Yeah, a little bit of variance in that guy's production.
Yeah. And look, for me to be fair and not super hyperbolic and lose my mind about someone like McCollum, who I just think last year we just kept saying he's too cheap, he's too cheap, he's too cheap, and he just kept being bad. But if you were to take everyone in this team, how many games did they play? 2 or 3? Do you know? 3, right? Yeah, they played 3. They played 3 games. If you were to take everyone that's averaging 20 plus minutes and then look at their usage, it's 30% for Lillard, 29% for McCollum, and then no one else. No one else is above 20%. No one else is above 18%. That's Hassan Whiteside. So, if you're telling me, yeah, I think McCollum has that upside, he definitely does, because there are going to be nights where he jacks up 25 shots.
Yep.
It's just remarkable. And we saw this more last year because Terry Stotts wasn't staggering McCollum and Lillard as much, which was disappointing.
Yep.
When he staggered him more, McCollum's assist opportunities and assist totals were higher. That hasn't been the case as much. Maybe we'll see revert back to that this year, and it'll help. But McCollum is one of those guys that is, despite the big minutes, likely going to rely on scoring a lot, Josh.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's you need him to be feeling it for that particular day.
Did you happen to look at Popcorn Machine for Hezonja? Because
no,
I did, and it was really hard to tell if he benefited at all from Zach Collins. And trying to look at if you want, pull it up. It's pretty crazy. He played 25 minutes, and Zach Collins played 24. He came back for just a couple minutes in the third quarter, 1 minute, before getting injured, and then was replaced by Labissiere.
Yeah.
Because Hezonja was already out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have so many minutes that they have to give it. I gave Anthony Tolliver 18. I gave Scal 18. I gave Hezonja 25.
Okay. And Hezonja played 25 yesterday.
Yeah. So he's not getting any ownership. Neither is Scal. Neither is Tolliver. So something to pay attention to, I guess. Maybe one of those guys really leaps forward. But to me, it's already Hezonja, at least on FanDuel, where I have no idea what position he is. He could be one of 4 different positions at this point. He's a shooter. He's a small forward. So he's $100 above the minimum at small forward. I'm always going to roll my dice there. But otherwise, I'm just neutral on McCollum, neutral on Aldridge.
Yeah, another thing too is Hezonja played 25 minutes, and okay, so Hassan Whiteside fouled out, and Hezonja came in. It looked like Hezonja closed out the game by design, but he didn't. He came back in when Hassan Whiteside fouled out with 2:16 remaining.
Wow.
So you would have normally got 22. The only issue here is it doesn't look like Hezonja really saw it. It was Bazemore who closed this game out instead of Zach Collins. So if Whiteside didn't foul out, it would have been Bazemore, or it would have been, Lillard, McCollum, Bazemore, Hood, and Whiteside. They went very small. Will they go small against this team, I don't know. Hazonia's not that big either. I'm having a tough time, and I don't think any of us can really accurately gauge what minutes we're going to see from Hazonia here.
Right.
I'd probably put him around 25 as well.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm just saying that the popcorn machine, when you look at the rotations from Terry Stotts, it's really difficult to gauge what we're going to get when we saw what he did. Bazemore played 18 minutes to close out the game, Josh.
Yeah, I have Bazemore in for 28 right now. I still have 4 minutes to spare. It's the team that I need to go through the most. I don't think it'll matter all that much for me.
I think Bazemore might be the value play is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, he's projected for 16% ownership on DK because he's 3,800. He's 5,300 on FanDuel. He's still not playable.
I didn't see that ownership. At 3,800, if everyone was looking at Hazonia and not Bazemore, to me it would have been.
Yeah, no one's looking at Hazonia. 2% ownership there. Bazemore is getting the look.
I think that'll change, but as of now, if it stayed that way, I'm with you.
Right. Phoenix and Utah. I think this will be quick. Jazz 4.5 point favorites in Phoenix. Devin Booker is in the teens in ownership on both sites. Bojan Bogdanovic on FanDuel is in double digits. There's no ownership going elsewhere in this game. I'll have a couple shares of Donovan Mitchell, but ultimately this game is not something that I want in fantasy terms. Clear across the board.
I'm not very interested either. Dude, Mike Conley's shooting has been terrible.
I don't want to talk about it.
Holy shit, man.
That dude is costing me a lot of money.
It's been brutal. It's absolutely brutal. 1 for 16, 3 for 11. Sure, 5 for 11 yesterday against Sacramento. The Kings did not seem like they had any interest in playing basketball whatsoever, though. That game was like a 50-point game when I turned around in the second quarter.
It was brutal, dude.
Utah's defense, they're stellar, and I expect them to be really good all season long. 91 defensive rating through 3 games. It's the best in the league.
It's a bad spot for Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. They're playing at a 98 pace, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good here. Thanks, though.
Yeah. I got 7% Donovan Mitchell and 3% Frank Kaminsky, and that was it for this entire game.
I think Donnie Mitchell's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Phoenix has actually looked decent, so maybe this game doesn't blow out. Not a back-to-back, but I do like Donovan Mitchell in this spot, especially given how underwhelming Mike Conley has looked. If anything, though, I'd be looking at Utah. And mind you, you don't have to stack games in basketball. If you just like Utah, don't feel like you have to run it back with Kaminsky or Booker or whoever. And I guess the only other thing I'd throw out there would be that Baines is way too expensive now at that price point. If I was getting him at value like 3,800, I would just run him out there because I feel like his minutes are going to need to be big with Rudy Gobert on the other side, but he's too expensive anyway.
Absolutely. Phoenix, number 1 in point differential on cleaning the glass right now. Bet you didn't see that one coming.
I didn't, but I've been watching them.
Yeah.
I thought it would be painful, but it actually has been quite enjoyable.
Kings and Nuggets. Nuggets 6-point favorites in Sacramento. On my let's see, for ownership, Dwayne Dedmon at 25% on FanDuel, 16% on DraftKings. No one else above 6% on Sacramento. On the Denver side, Jokic right around 10% depending on which site. Jamal Murray right around 20% depending on which site. We'll start on the Sacramento side. Are you getting to anybody besides Dedmon?
No.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me just make sure. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I don't believe so.
Yeah,
a little bit of Dedmon. A little bit of Buddy Hield. Yeah. Okay. Actually, now that I look at that salary on Buddy Hield is pretty damn appealing. I think $6K on DraftKings makes a lot of sense. Throw last game out the window entirely. It was a wrap. He played 20 minutes. The whole offense was in disarray. But normally, Buddy Hield's going to be getting tons of looks, and he's scoring dependent, but he's the go-to guy here on this team is from a scoring standpoint for sure. And Marvin Bagley being out isn't going to hurt him.
Yeah, I'll probably have a little bit of like Harrison Barnes or something just because of the position on FanDuel, but Dwayne Dedmon is the only guy that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, tough matchup. Denver's very, very solid defensively.
And then on the Denver side, on my crunch, I barely got to anybody. 7% Jokic was the most. I like Jokic, obviously. He's one of my favorite players in basketball. However, I'd rather have Vooch. I'd rather have Drummond. If Embiid is there, I think he and Jokic are like coin flips for this spot. There's value at center, whether that's Tristan Thompson, Cody Zeller, Dwayne Dedmon at 4,100. I just don't think that I'm going to have much out of this game outside of Dedmon.
Yeah, it's understandable.
17-2 for Jokic on FantasyDraft is pretty interesting to me. Just
Look,
not that great of a game.
No, whenever you want to play Jokic, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah.
Even in that first game where he got into foul trouble, he still had 40 fantasy points in 24 minutes. He's spectacular. Overtime helped him out a bit against Phoenix, but if there are a couple benefits here, is that the Sacramento Kings, unless things change significantly this year, are should end up playing at a pretty fast pace.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're not going to be very good. They have the third worst defensive rating thus far. Of course, only 3 games played. So, I mean, I do think it's a very good spot for Nikola Jokic. Dwayne Dedmon is average at best defensively and protecting the rim. So I'm not worried about it at all. But you are going to have to ask yourself if you're going to prioritize or who you're going to prioritize between Jokic and Drummond and Embiid if he plays. That's a tough call.
It really it's just you're sifting through very similar things.
Outside of Jokic, I'm good, though.
Final game. Everybody hit that like button. There's 700 of you in here right now. It would be really cool if you hit that like button right now. I said right now like 6 times in that sentence.
Do it!
Clippers and Hornets. Clippers 15.5-point favorites at home. Lou Will is at 14% expected ownership on FanDuel. No one else in double digits on the Clippers. Lou Will is the only guy that I really got to. On the Hornets side, Bridges at 20% on FanDuel. Cody Zeller around 20% split between FanDuel and DraftKings. I got a ton of Bridges because he's 5,200 on FanDuel, 6,300 on DraftKings. He's just going to soak up some time. So I like the idea of using Bridges as sort of like a value punt play. But this isn't much of a fantasy game to me. I've been waiting for 90 minutes now. Tell me these stats on the Hornets backcourt, or front court rather. Yeah,
I'll tell you why I think Montrezl Harrell could be phenomenal. We're only 3 games into the season, but something is glaringly obvious. The Hornets are not going to be able to defend the rim.
No.
Or the paint. They're allowing 69.3 points in the paint per game through 3 games. In context, the second worst team is allowing 57. 69 points allowed in the paint per game. Seriously, Josh, those are horrible, horrible numbers. Whether it's Zeller or Biyombo, whoever's in there, they're getting absolutely eaten alive. And Montrezl Harrell is dominant when it comes to being able to contain them. Dominant when it comes to getting points around the basket and cleaning up that garbage. So I'm really liking that. And I think you're also going to see this team struggle in pick and roll defense. That'll be another spot where I would expect Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell to be able to thrive. Yeah, to me it's pretty appealing, and I'll probably have a lot of Montrezl Harrell.
I like it. He's completely unowned. You nervous that he doesn't play a ton?
Sorry, what's that?
You nervous that he doesn't play a ton just because this? I mean, there's a pretty big gap in these two teams. This would be a really good Kawhi Leonard, general soreness rest day.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern always, but I can't base my decisions on that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they just lose to the Suns?
They did indeed.
They just lost to the Suns. I mean, look, they're a very good team, but if you were the person saying, I'm not touching anyone in this game because the Suns are going to get trashed, well, the Suns ended up winning.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you have to look at that for what it is. But already in the pick and roll to roll men this season, we've seen the Hornets, we've seen opposing teams going at them with the roll men in the pick and roll are already having a lot of good results. Again, it's early, but it just feels like if this game is even remotely competitive, Harrell could have a huge performance.
Final thing, we got the question, if the season ended today, who wins the MVP? I believe that's Karl Anthony Towns. That would be my pick. That's all I got.
be your pick, huh?
I think
All
so.
right.
He's been pretty gross so far.
Yeah, he's been good. Giannis, you could throw in there as well.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot. Anyway, we made it.
We did. You are coming up with Manny immediately after this. Please hit the like button on the way out the door. Tons of content going up. Check out this show on our podcast feed. You can get that anywhere podcasts are found. Anything else, Lavi?
Yeah, I think if you haven't watched it yet, even if you don't start your NFL research until later in the week, definitely check it out. Even if you want to throw it on in the background, Manny, Laura, and I coming up right now do a full Monday morning quarterback breakdown of the winning lineups and how people got there and what went right and what went wrong. With applying all of that to the following week. Most people that have listened have said it's been very helpful and they've learned a lot from it. Manny's one of the best as well in the industry at breaking that stuff down. So check it out. We're coming up. I'm going to go grab something to drink. I'm probably going to take a leak and then we'll get started in a few minutes.
There you go, everybody. Take that information home for you. You know what Laffy's about to do for the next 30 seconds. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll talk to you later.